How's it going, man? It's your guy Sauce here. Last night, we recorded our first episode ever for YouTube, man. It was a great episode, a great vibe. Just apologizing ahead of time for the audio. It's not perfect, man. We had issues with one of the mics and a small hum during the video feed that, goes in and out, but it's constantly there. But hopefully you can still get the positive feedback from the episode, man. And, learn something from it and embrace it and, relate to the entire episode. So I just want to apologize ahead of time for the audio quality. And, I hope you guys can rock out and enjoy the episode. One. What made How's everybody going? How's everybody doing? You're rocking with Made MMnW Mentalities. Today we're going to do a mental health podcast. We're going to speak about real life experiences, drug addiction, something that's not frequently talked about too much. And we're just going to get into it, man. Speak our truths. Let's have a good, genuine conversation. This isn't really a scripted episode. This is episode 1, man. We finally made it. We're finally here. It took a lot of testing and production and, all these things that are just crazy behind the scenes. We finally getting in, on the road. So we just want to speak about a couple things. But first, let me introduce everybody who's on the panel. For sake of identity protection, we're definitely going to use aliases. So I have my mother. She goes by China Ace in the building.
Hey, how's everyone doing tonight?
And then I got my stepfather, D Solo, on the mic. You know what I'm saying? So, today I definitely want to talk about addiction in Hartford County, man. It's something that's pressing a lot of families. There's a lot of death going on. And, from where we're sitting, we're actually very happy to have you here because you survived. You survived a lot of, struggles and hardships in life. And it was important to us as a family, to be able to sit here with you and go through this process and for you to continue. So a few things I want to get into is just tell us a little bit about your story, how it all started with you, what was some of the moments in your life that, compelled you to go down that path and just, where your mind was and the situations you were dealing with.
Well, it all started when I was young, that hood shit, everybody being
It's all right. Just move a little bit closer to the mic.
Everybody being in the streets. I came from a project that was a block that everybody came to get their drugs from. So, to be a part of it, watching the older heads getting money, we became teenagers. And, moms wasn't giving us money for sneakers that we wanted. She buying us Bradley's clothes and Caldor's gear when we wanted to go to heaven. You know what I'm saying? That's true.
Yeah.
And we wanted to go somewhere else and get the newest clothes and the newest sneakers, and that's where it started. With a little couple of packs of weed, made a little money, quick flip, then we stepped our game up to cocaine. That changed everything.
Yeah, usually that's how it is, man. There's always a story behind it, People either hustle to support their families or to get the things that they've always wanted that couldn't necessarily be provided for them at the time. That's definitely the story of many people out here. And even when we was growing up, Mom, we ain't had the most money on the block, but one thing I can account for is that we had happiness within the home. Love was solid. Every family goes through their hardships, trials, and tribulations, but we held it down as a family.
We did.
We might have not have had the most lavish things, but one thing I can say about my mother, man, is that she worked her behind off, you know. She was grinding, you know. We was the type of family, you feel me, like mom would go grocery shopping and she would come home and she would lay all that food on the table. She'd be like, y'all better not touch nothing. And I used to think in my head as a kid, like, yo, what you mean not touch nothing? You just buy the food, you tell you bought food, we can't eat the food, like what's going on? But you know, the struggle definitely is real, and I feel like it has a lot to do with the environment that we come up in, you know.
Has everything to do with it.
Yeah, and it's just, you know, it's a harsh reality, and a lot of people don't understand it looking from the outside, and they're so quick to be like, you know, I never do this, or this could never be me in certain situations, but, you know, you haven't came up in the poverty or the struggle that we came up in, so it's kind of hard, you know, listening to people sometimes just speak, you know, on these subjects with no compassion or understanding because they're just not in that environment. So one thing I do want to get into is what was like one of the moments that, you know, what led you, or what happened to you that led you into, you know, the addiction that you overcame.
Led me into it. One of my friends, little Ed, was a real hustler. He started from zero, ended up with a lot of product, and we ended up in a hotel one night, and he decided to try it, and asked all of us if we wanted to try it. Tried it, and our minds thought that we were Superman. You know what I mean? The feeling that we got, the euphoric feeling that we had was different. Something I never knew. And the allure brings you in, you feel great. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like a part of the lifestyle.
Yeah, you feel different. You feel like a Superman. Then all of a sudden, you go from having fun to it being work. And that's when the addiction was born.
Oh, man. So, like, how did you know, at what point in time did you know, like, hey, I think I'm addicted to this? Like,
when it wasn't fun anymore.
It was
I had to do it. I felt like I had to do it. Every time we go to parties, we make sure we got something with us. You know what I'm saying? But then it's those days when there is no party. There's nothing going on. We could just be chilling, doing something else, playing basketball, but all my mind is thinking of is, I need to get this stuff with me.
Yeah.
I had this stuff with me. I need to feel like I felt before. And you feel it at first, but then that feeling goes away and the rest is just misery. And that's the feeling of euphoria. Is what you chase the whole time. And you never find it.
And then, like, so for me, another question I kind of have is, like, as a man today, like, where you've came and, you know, how you've battled the situation, like, how do you think that affected your family? Like, in the moment, were you thinking about your family?
No.
All right, and like, how do you think, like, that really affected your family, like, you know, going through it, and, like, what do you wish could have been different? Or, like, do you wish, like, any of your circumstances could have changed, or, like, you know?
I wish I never did it.
Yeah.
I wish I never did it.
And
that's the truth. My life would have been so different had I taken a different path. When you're doing negative things, it's a ripple effect of negativity that spreads out amongst everybody and anybody that loves you or cares about you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, but you can't see it when you're caught up in the addiction. All you're thinking about is yourself. Nobody and nothing else matters at all. You don't see what you're doing to your people. You call them, ask them for money, you lie to them, you steal, you do whatever you gotta do to get that, and you don't care how it affects nobody else as long as you get high.
Yeah.
Selfishness inside.
Hey, so Mom, like, what was, like, some of the changes that you noticed at the beginning of, you know, his addiction? Like, how did it affect you? What did it make you think, you know, and how did you look at him or feel about him in this certain situation when you started realizing, all right, this is happening, and, you know, like, because you love him, you know, this is yes. You know, your husband. It's like, you know, like, so what were some of the things that were going on in your mind at the time?
It's a very lonely existence.
I'll speak up into the...
Sorry, it's a very lonely existence for the family, because now that's his best friend. The drug became his best friend. That's all he's chasing. That's all he's worried about. So everything in the household starts to collapse, and everything falls on my shoulder.
Yeah.
Whether it be bills, kids, cleaning, everything you can think of that makes a household run is now run by one person. And that's a lot of weight on my shoulders.
And I feel like, you know, like even going through with my biological father and his addiction, you know, it's something we always yearn the love of certain family members, you know, that we care and we adore. And a lot of times I feel like addiction, you know, is what you're replaced with. Drugs is what you're replaced with, where this is my best friend. Now he has another best friend.
Yes.
So, you know, it's like you feel like you're invisible a lot of times in your life from the family perspective. And like I feel like for me personally, like when you were going through it, and even when I moved back home to Connecticut, I used to always want to see you. You feel me? And it was hard, you know, having conversations with mom and the position we stood on, and me having a deep love for you, because no matter what people say about addiction, we have to understand that the people who go through these addictions, it wasn't always bad. And a lot of people have a misconception that there's a lot more bad memories because a person has been in addiction than there is good. And that's not necessarily the truth.
It's not.
Yeah, and, you know, speaking on behalf of my family, it wasn't the truth at all, man. We had so many, you know, vivid, great memories. And even some of the bad moments in life were actually good memories. Like, I remember back on Prospect Street, man. Yeah, I'm going to speak about this. I'm going to get into this real quick.
Get it in.
So, back on Prospect Street, man, I remember there was this big chubby chick. She used to always
Straight
try to bully me and do all this crazy stuff, man. And I remember one day she went a little crazy on me. You know, I was a little dude, had my little Game Boy. I would go play with my, you know, my Spanish friends, and we would link up, play our Game Boys. And she was this new chick on the block, so I guess she had to feel relevant. I don't want to speak too much on her situation because you never know what another child's life is like and what they're going through and some of the things that they're suffering in. And that could have just been her coping with her own personal situation, you know. So, but at the time, we laugh about it now. And I just want to be very clear, like, we don't laugh at the individual that this happened to because we're very understanding people, but we laugh about it now because it's like, it was one of those loving moments where a father was protecting, you know, his child. And I came home one day and my shirt was ripped, man. She dusted me all the way off. Mom was like, "Where's the Game Boy?" I'm sniffling. I don't even know what's going on right now. I'm like, "Yo, I just got destroyed by this chick." I'm like, I'm a boy and I just got beat up by a girl. So,
Big girl.
Yeah.
Woo, she was, you know what? She
Just
was
as big as you.
I'm gonna say this, and it might be a jokey joke, but this chick was, you know, she's probably a little bit bigger than my mom at the time. My mom's a grown woman, and this was a girl. How old was we back then?
That girl
Yeah.
was 13 or 14.
Yeah, she was 13 or 14. Oh, she was definitely way older than me back in them days. I was nowhere near 13, 14. I was a little peanut.
Yeah.
So, you know, and he went out there and he tried to talk to the girl, and she was very, you know, robust, disrespectful, and yo, listen, the disrespect was unreal. And you know, he was like, "How would you like it if somebody picked on you and did this?" And I just remember dirt flying. I remember dirt flying. Ooh, she got hit by Mr. Like, you know how you watch. Yeah, exactly. You know how you watch the movies and they be them little fight scenes and they get, you know, they backs against the wall, so they throwing dirt in the eyes. It was like one of them joints. But you know what? To speak on it in all actuality, you know, the cops end up being called, and my stepfather was hauled away, man. And to me, even in that situation at that time in life, in that moment, I'm like, man, even as a kid, you wouldn't expect it. I don't know how many kids think like this, but it's not normal. I was like, yo, my step-pops loves me so much. He defended me to the best of his ability. And you know what? Like, from that moment on, like, my respect for him would grow. My love for him would grow more and more, because as a child, I'm like, yo, he's really the protector. He's really the protector of the household. So, you know, I feel like, you know, growing up as a man, even though like me and my biological father, we weren't the closest, you know, we're not that far apart, and being an understanding man now, it is what it is. But back then, I always had men in the family that I can lean on personally. And to me, you were one of those guys. You know, you were my stepfather. You were my pops, man. And, I appreciated every aspect. It was heartbreaking just watching the amount of struggles that we went through. and you know, the family shifting, the energy shifting, the amount of times we've been separated. But one thing I am thankful for is that we all came back together.
Yes.
So Mom, tell me a little bit about this current journey that you guys got going on. You know, Pops is back. You know, he's healthy. Thank God. He's good. You know, he's strong. He's looking good. He got the shades on.
Yes.
I don't even want to know where your brain's at right now, you know, because my guy's over there looking shady real quick. You know what I'm saying? But I know that had to be so heartfelt and warming that, you know, the man that we adore and love in our family, first of all, thank you, because you chose to fight. And you stood up, because at the end of the day, people like to take credit for other people's triumphs. Oh, well, I helped you, and you know, it was me. I was there in your corner. A lot of people throw stuff in your face, but like at the end of the day, this is how I feel. You stood up as a man in your mind, and you made that decision like, hey, I'm gonna fight for this. This is my family. And you, as the woman who's always been by his side, no matter whatever happened, you know, ultimately stood up as well. And you was like, yo, I'm going to fight for this. This is my family. This is what I feel is best. But how does this whole situation currently make you feel?
Honestly, it's surreal. It's very overwhelming, because this is a new him, and we have to learn how to live differently today and moving forward. So it could be overwhelming at times, adjusting and getting to know each other on a different level now. But
because you stayed in the cut.
I did, and make no mistake, there was plenty. This past year, I would say, has been rough, with concerns of getting a phone call that something happened to him. And yes, that was the real struggle, because we've been separated probably 5+ years. We kept in touch throughout the time. But this is the first time within our lives of knowing each other for 27 years. These past 3 years, the disconnect was very challenging for me, and not knowing what's going on with him, knowing what's going on with him, but not knowing what's going on with him. The disconnect was so real that it was very hard for me. And I prayed a lot. I prayed. It got to the point where things became so rough at home with our daughter, our youngest, that I had to come lay eyes on him. I had to, which was September. Not knowing if that was going to be my goodbye, not knowing, going back home, driving to work, talking to God, like, why?
Yeah.
Why did you put us together all these years? And why did we go through all of this? Don't let this be a goodbye.
Yeah. I feel that.
So, the past couple of months after I laid eyes on him, and I saw, I saw what I saw. And, but I tell you, when he called me, I didn't know it was him calling me. I was ignoring the call, actually, because I'm like, who's this calling me from Stonington or wherever?
Yeah,
the number. Yeah, I was like, I wasn't answering, and he just kept calling, and finally I picked up, and I hear a man's voice, and I'm like, Darren?
Yeah.
So, and moving forward, we've had many discussions on every day, scheduled for morning to night. And I'm just grateful that we're here today.
So all glory to God on that one. You said death.
Yes.
Elaborate on that. Like, what was happening in your mind at that moment? Because I didn't really get too many details on it. But you were in the hospital?
I was on the street.
You was on the street, and so when you said death, just elaborate. Like, what was going on with your body and your mind at that moment?
Well, it was a accumulation of moments. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And when you're dealing with that game, opiate abuse, death is anytime. Death is anytime. You could go to see the dude that you've been getting this stuff from all the time, and you don't know if you got a bad batch. He don't even know if you got a bad batch. You know what I'm saying? And you could take one bag, half of a bag.
Might be too much fentanyl in there, or whatever the case. Yeah.
And you could be by yourself, and there's nobody to pump that Narcan in.
So I do have a question pertaining to that. So you know how like we speak on addiction, and it's like you kind of do anything for that next fix when you're in the middle of your addiction or you're going through your addiction. So I always wondered, like, hey, everybody who's not in addiction could kind of look at the situation like, yo, you can really die from this stuff, and it, like you said, death could come at any moment. So it's like, did you ever have that thought in your mind when you're searching addiction? Like, was there ever like a knock on your shoulder that said, hey, like, yo, you could die? Or was it just, I just need my fix? Or did you ever like, you know, like think about that in the heat of the moment? Like, yo, I know I'm taking this, but this could be my last time taking it. Or was it just a...
No, the mentality is in the back of your mind, you know it could happen. But in the front of your mind, you think it can't happen to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, that happens to them because they had too much or they wanted too much. You make up excuses why it happened to other people and no real reason why it can happen to you. You're so concerned with not being sick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And withdrawn and not having what you need. So you don't think of death. You run to a man who might have death in a bag.
Yeah, literally.
You run to him when you're sick.
I think that's important for people to understand, because a lot of people are like, yo, you know, you could die from that. How are you not thinking about that? And and people need some clarity on that from the standpoint that, like, yo, when you're in addiction, there's a lot of things you're not thinking about. And like, you have to stand back and look at it from the outside. If somebody's, you know, taken from their family or they're doing whatever they got to do to get a fix, you got to realize that this addiction runs a lot deeper than what you think it does. And it's a powerful thing. You know, our family always says, you know, the devil's a liar. And he lies so good. Like, you know, he got you thinking that this is all you need right here. You just need this and this only. And meanwhile, he's ripping everything away from you, around you, and, you know, everything that you truly, really do love, because you're blinded by the addiction.
Blinded. Let me tell you how blinded by the addiction it gets people who are caught up in it. You're so blinded. You go to a person who's selling this shit, and they got lines of people coming, traffic nonstop. Police are watching. You know they're watching. You don't care. If you're that sick, you run to him. You'll sit right in front of his house. You'll sit right in front of his house with your dope and get high right there. Not caring about the police. All you care about is no longer being sick.
So here's a question and a change of pace. So with addiction, in order to survive it, we all know you have to go and you have to rehab in some form. And with rehab, there's definitely a lot of things available. But so tell us a little bit about your walk in rehab. Was this your first time in rehab?
This way, yeah.
All right, and so being that it was your first real fight in rehab, tell us a little bit about the experience. Like, you know, what was it like? Like, what did you endure? How was the living situation? How many people were there? How crazy was it? How not crazy was it? You know, to speak about life as a recovering addict in a rehab facility. You know, like in. Was it something that you was like, I gotta do it, but was it so bad you're like, you gotta get out of here too? Or was it like, yo, this is really a time to recollect? Did you really have the peace that you needed inside the rehab facility to, you know, to really think, maneuver, and get things together? Like, so just speak about your experiences on, like, you know, the rehab situation.
Well, in order for me to answer that question, I gotta take you back to what led me to decide to go to rehab in the first place.
Yeah.
Well, after months and months and months of running and chasing this drug and making sure you're not sick and making sure you got something for the morning, it becomes a vicious cycle, and it's tiring. It wears on you mentally and physically. And after the drug has depleted your physical, it starts to deplete your mental. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just grew tired enough to say I had enough. I've seen people trying to go get better. I've seen people dying. And I didn't want that. I didn't even like doing drugs. I didn't even like it. I just did it because I didn't want to go through the withdrawals. What you got to go through to get out of it is horrible. It's nothing like what you got to go through to get in it.
So,
you know what I mean?
yeah, so speak on that. Like, speak about the withdrawals, man. Like, the pain, you know, put some fire on this, man. Tell us about it.
So I went to the hospital. And I told them that I'm suffering. Well, I had the ambulance come get me. Told them that I was ODing, and they brought me to the hospital. And I told them, do not let me out this time. This time is real. Do not let me out. If y'all let me out, you're gonna see my body come back, but not me. So they said, we'll get you into a rehab center. They looked around, they found one for me, and they sent me up there the next day. I went, and it was rough, man. It was the first day you don't feel nothing, you know, you kind of wait for it, and then boom, it hits you like a hurricane. All the withdrawal symptoms, you get sick, stomach sick, shit, sweats, cold, body aches. The aches come from deep inside your bones. Oof. It's not just the outside. Everything hurts. I remember one night they called me in for meds. I had to get up out my bed and I had to open my eyes in the dark, and it hurt my eyelids just to open my eyes.
Golly.
You think we take for granted the fact that we could just hop up in the morning and get out of bed. When you coming down off of that, when you withdraw from fentanyl, getting up is the hardest thing to do, let alone walk somewhere. Your legs stop working.
Yeah.
Your equilibrium is thrown off. We walk straight ahead. When you get withdrawn, you fall into the sides. You have no balance, you have no power, you have no energy. You are suspect and vulnerable.
Yeah, that's deep. Tell me about some of the tools, or you know, some of the things you implemented in rehab that, you know, help you get through the day by day basis.
Well, when I first got to rehab, wasn't too long. When I first got to rehab, all I wanted to do was complain about it. You know what I mean? I wanted everything given to me. I didn't want to have to work for nothing. I felt like these people should be, you know, teaching me everything I need to be taught and helping me with anything I asked for. I felt like I should just get.
So like it was kind of like a school situation, like, yo, let me raise my hand and you answer everything I got.
Yeah, bring me this, give me that, I need that. Why this ain't this? Damn, this food ain't shit.
Yeah.
Complaints all around the board. You know what I'm saying? And they didn't push recovery. This is a rehab facility that does not push recovery. You are not required to go to meetings. You can go to meetings if you want. They have groups every Saturday and Sunday, meetings every night. You don't gotta go.
So that's kind of interesting, because, you know, these are supposed to be, organizations and places set up to really help the people and care about the people. And I feel like at the end of the day, one of the major things that's wrong with these type of businesses and places, because they are businesses at the end of the day. I don't care what anybody says. Like, it might start off as a nonprofit or whatever the case may be, but it's a business, and it gets terrible because at one point in time, everybody who walks through that door just becomes a number.
Yes.
You know, or just becomes another dollar sign. So they do bare minimum, you know, to get the numbers in, or they're willing to accept how many numbers they can, or, you know, the most they can. But by doing that, they start to do the least. And that's actually a scary situation, because
really. Let me stop you right there.
Go ahead.
Let me tell you something. Being in a facility like that, where nothing is actually forced upon you, creates a dynamic that either you're going to fall into the cracks or you're going to step up and go get it for yourself.
All right.
If you really came here to recover, it's there for you.
So you felt like it was set up for like it basically self accountability plays a part in the facility that that they were.
Today, and that was the topic: accountability. You have to be accountable for yourself. When it comes down to recovery, if you're not in it for yourself, you cannot expect everybody. If you don't want it bad enough for yourself, how can you expect somebody else to want it bad for you too?
Exactly.
They can't want it bad enough for you. You gotta want that. You know what I mean? The next person can't give you your sobriety. You gotta get up and earn that shit.
Yeah. And that applies to just about everything in life, man.
Mm-hmm.
Self accountability is definitely king of everything in all situations. The ability to, like we just had a conversation outside, man, and we were speaking about God, and just having the ability to know what you can and cannot change in your life just goes a long way. And it's helped me, and it's helped a lot of people overcome a lot of different situations, and self accountability is definitely king.
Let me elaborate. Let me finish.
Yeah, go ahead.
The story though. So, there came a point in time after I stopped bitching and complaining that I just started doing the things that somebody in recovery that's serious about it needs to do. I got up, I went to meetings, I really participated in the meetings. When I went to school, I participated in the classes that were talking about giving us the tools that we need once we get up out of there. You know what I mean? I took it serious. And this is the first time I've ever taken something as serious as I took it. I know that my life is on the line. So once I did that, I started dabbling. We say the serenity prayer. God grant us the serenity. So God is first. So I started picking up the Bible, reading verses, and I just jumped into Proverbs, and it just spoke to me. Then I said, you know what? One thing that I lack is faith. So I decided to read the book of Job over again.
Yeah.
And in that book, I believe it's 12th chapter, probably 12th chapter, chapter 12, 19th verse, that says, if you submit your will to God, He will restore you. And it resonated in my head over and over and over, like a broken record that just was on repeat. It would not stop. So one day I decided, you know what, I'm gonna move the way God wants me. Because when I move the way I want to move, I end up in places like this.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? I didn't want to be there, but I needed to be there because my steps led me there. I earned a seat in fucking rehab.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And once I started really letting God move me, I started to see that the place that I thought was the worst fucking place in the world was one of the best places I've ever been. It gave me a chance to strip myself of the embrace that the devil had on.
Changed your whole perspective. And I believe faith is key, speaking on it from a Christian perspective, faith is definitely key. And there comes a time in our lives where we definitely do have to give it to God and live a surrendered life. A fully surrendered life is beautiful, because then, there comes a time when you're reading in the Bible and you start to understand and learn the God that we serve. And with that being said, the more you learn about Him, the more you realize that He is the God, He's the protector of everything, He's the one and only, and that you can always lean on Him and depend on Him in every situation. Every time you pray, God hears a mourning heart, so every time you pray, He's going to be there for you. He's going to comfort you. And to be able to surrender your life to a higher calling that is, dependable is something that, helps. I'm pretty sure it helps many people get through. A lot of people might not believe in God, but I do. And He's been there through my most vicious struggles. We're going to save that for another episode when I get a little bit, personal on mine, because I don't want to change the subject. This is about this family reunion we having right here. So, Mom, is there anything, I have a question for you, actually. So, when your loved ones are going through addiction, a lot of the times people who are the loved ones of the person falling into addiction blame themselves, and in which they could have altered something that they did. Did you have any moments where you were like, man, I wish I could have did this different, and really think it was you at any point in time? Or was it something that you guys went through that you probably thought that, contributed to it? Or was there any time where you felt that you needed to you could have changed something and maybe it would have been a better outcome?
No, I don't take, I don't feel that it was anything that I did. I know that through our conversations, he holds himself accountable for his actions, so I could never make somebody do something. I can't control another being and their choices in life. And
Yeah.
I knew that long ago as a woman growing myself. But what I am learning now, and sometimes in our conversation, I have to learn how to listen more and take in and really try to understand what he's telling me. And how do I say, I have to focus in what he's saying, understanding and taking that information he's given me at that time, to move forward with him. In other words, I have to do whatever I have to do as a person to understand what he's going through, but also understand what I'm going through emotionally.
Yeah.
It goes hand in hand.
And
in order for me to be a positive support for him, I have to understand him better and I have to do better in that sense.
Yeah, and because there's a few misconceptions. A lot of people allow themselves to be guilt tripped, and I wanted to ask my mother that question because people need to understand that if you're not the one in addiction, you can't be guilt tripped into thinking that it is your fault when it isn't, and you definitely have to hold your family members accountable. But one beautiful thing that my father, my step-pop said outside was, and it's a true fact, a lot of people don't have compassion on the addicts, feelings or what they're going through because they could never understand because they've never been through it. And I think sometimes people need to slow down and really understand, or try to at least understand, like, listen, if you love somebody, you have to take the time out to try to comprehend what they're going through and just hear them out, even though it might sound cliche to a lot of people. And so you start rocking with the rest of the world. Oh, like, man, he's just speaking about this. He's never going to change. Well, sometimes, people just need individuals to hear their struggle. Because when you lock into somebody's struggle and you start understanding and trying to look at it from their perspective and in their shoes, you're going to be a better helping force for that individual. So sometimes people just need you to hear them. Like, if you think about a lot of old people that we pass, just on a daily basis, they're walking around here. They could be I've encountered a lot of lonely elder people out here in Bristol, and they're just so sad because they have nobody to talk to. And even if you can't understand and comprehend, sometimes it just takes you listening to that individual to make them feel valid enough, to make them feel like their existence is valid and that they're still here fulfilling some type of purpose. Mm-hmm. But
let me
yeah, go ahead.
Something though, 99.999% of addicts, drugs are just the surface of their symptoms. Drugs is what they run to get away from something that's going on deeper inside themselves. You know what I mean? And that's what a lot of people don't understand. They see the outside. They see the person doing drugs, the person looking bad, the person stealing, lying, and cheating. But what they don't realize is deep beneath the surface of that person is a hurricane, a storm going on inside their mind and their body that they can't explain to anybody else. Mm-hmm. Not to make them understand. You know what I mean? So you look at him and you be like, he ain't shit. He ain't nothing but a fucking drug addict. Fuck him. Don't care about him. Move on with their lives. And that person is struggling with some deep-seated issues, and that's why they touch them drugs.
Yeah, and that's real. Because you think about, there's so many, it's like, listen, we could sit here for hours and hours and talk about all different types of situations and traumatic events that happen within, our social circle alone and, where we came up. There's so many different things that happen to people. And like he said, that's why they touch the drugs. There's some things out there that are hard to cope with. You know what I mean? And a lot of you people out there, you know what? You think, oh, it can never be me. It can never be me. But life will hit the devil will throw some lumps your way that you've never seen coming. That'll hit you at a whole nother level and a whole nother degree, man. I've been there. Thank God I've never touched it, but there's been some times in my life where I'm like, yo, I don't even know why I'm still even trying to fight, man. Because you get hit sometimes and it's out of your control and there's nothing you can do. And that's why I thank God for my faith, because, those situations when I was going through the most illest things, I prayed to God and he answered. And it might have not have been right there on the spot, but if you're patient enough, he's going to answer, and it's going to be the answer you need, man.
Exactly. Let me add this, that when we pray, we gotta be careful what we pray for.
Yes.
Because God will give it to you. God will give it to you. It might not be the way you think he's going to give it to you. You might pray for patience. You know what I mean? And you think God is going to fill your heart and your mind with all this patience. No. What he's going to do is send the most annoying motherfucker your way.
This is true. He taught me this.
Yeah.
He taught me this. Yes.
The most annoying people your way and see how you respond. You know what I mean? And if you really are listening to him, if you are really praying to him for patience, your patience will be tested. It will be tested. So be prepared if you pray for something. Just you never know how it's gonna come. But it will come.
Listen, you heard it from the source, man. You will be tried and true if you asking for something that you really want, and it ain't gonna come like he said. It ain't gonna come in the way you think it's gonna come, man. One thing I just wanna touch out, man. Before we close this episode out, I just want to say, first of all, I'm thankful for to God. Glory be to God for the ability to sit here as a family right now. Being, that we've all weathered our individual storms and we've all had storms together and we're able to sit here together. And it's, I feel like it's a beautiful moment because I'm looking at two individuals that had a lot to do, with my upbringing. And I'm proud of the people that God had put in my life. I've learned so many lessons from so many people, but not too many people are near and dear to my heart like you guys are. There's many nights, I couldn't talk to you, and I always called you my step pops. There was many nights where I thought about you, even with me. I'm not even talking about nights where I talk to my mom, about your well-being. I'm talking about random nights, random times when I would be walking in Rockwell Park and I'm looking at this empty lake that used to have a spring that used to give us water and we used to drink it. Like I'm back home in Bristol, and I go places and there's traces of our life, and that would make me think about you. God would always show me something to put you on my mind randomly, and there's times where I'd be like, dang, I wish my step pops was here right now. You feel me? I wish we was just chilling, anything, laughing, cracking jokes like we used to. And for me, I'll speak on this a little bit before we close out. I remember we had a get together not that long ago, and when I seen you come over, from when I originally picked you up before we went to my grandfather's house in New Britain. You remember that last time? And I'm like, I'm looking back and I seen the pain in your face. I never spoke about it on that day because we were around family, but I seen your pain when you sat down and we got back to the house, and I felt the distance. And I felt your energy. I felt like, like you just weren't yourself. And I'm like,
it wasn't.
And it broke my heart, even like I tried to get him to eat breakfast like 5 times. I'm like, I'll make you fresh toast, whatever you want to eat. I just eat something. You feel me? And I knew your mind wasn't there. and you were going through something, and I could just feel the pain. And I broke down after y'all left. And I talked to Mom on the phone, and we've talked about this situation entirely. And it was so painful to just witness somebody that you love going through it. And at that time, maybe you didn't understand how much we really loved you, because, you know, you weren't thinking about that. You were weathering your storm, and, you know, but, you know, I just wanted to say that, you know, from the bottom of my heart, I love you. You're my step pops. And I'm happy. It doesn't matter. Listen, y'all, it doesn't matter if the loved one got out of rehab yesterday. Every freaking second counts. Every day counts. Don't be downing people, y'all. Don't be, oh, you've only been clean for a day. You only been clean for an hour. So what? They're clean for an hour. They're clean for a day. Every second counts. So the fact that you're sitting here, no matter how many days it's been, I'm proud of you. I love you.
It's been 6 years. It's been 50, I think 52 days?
Yes.
52 mega days.
Yes.
Awesome days. You feel me? 52 extremely blessed days where we've gotten, you know what, 52 days of laughter, 52 days of brand new, spanking new memories of the new improved D Solo. He might spit a bar. Watch out. You don't know what's going on. You don't know what we got. The arsenal might be loaded. You don't know what's happening right now. And the raps might not even be the same from when he was spitting. Quit playing with your boy. Better. You don't even know. They're sauced up. They are sauced up. But you know, I'm just happy that you guys are kicking it with me, and I'm honored that you guys came through and did the first episode with me.
We're honored to,
you know,
to be here.
I love
Thank
you guys.
We
and
love you.
I would rather have anybody else here to start this mega journey off with. Y'all gonna see more of me. Y'all gonna definitely see more of them. So if you think they ain't coming back up, I might have to make a road trip. This setup might not be mobile, but we can get some mobile mics after, you know, everything is jumping. But you know, I love you guys. It was great.
Love you.
So listen, man, this was a flame episode. You got to see some of my own personal, you know, experiences with my family. You got to hear it from a very wise man who's been through some things and who's still learning. We're all still learning. And it's been a pleasure, man. I'm your host, Sauce the Boss. You're rocking with Made MMnW Mentalities, and we are going offline. Peace, y'all.
Peace.